What's going on? This is your man John Fortune, your host of the Frustrated Fan Sports Show, and today I'm going to be talking about a topic that's been kind of hot in our circles now all of a sudden, and I'm going to focus this topic solely on the Commanders. So the topic that's been going on is everybody's thoughts on the possibility of moving down in the upcoming draft. This has been one that, as you know, normally you guys who all are day ones and so forth, who know me for a while and been watching my videos for a while, you know this is right about the time that I'm deep in my lab, sitting up there and focusing on what players are not being talked about, what players are not being seen, the players that's being missed, which guys may stand out the most, what guys are scheme dependent, what guys are versatile, things of that such nature, all leading up to my not mock draft where I slot guys based on my SSM metric, my scheme skill need metric, which I'm now starting to see more teams are following versus just looking for potential. So but the focus of this video is more about the fact that there is a chance to get more draft picks, but there's also this possibility. There's also the problem of the fear that's involved with moving down. Now, with the number 2 overall pick, the crazy thing about that is that as fans, we're not in control of who they pick. And I think that's probably our biggest fear, is that even though we can possibly trust Adam Peters, he can make a huge mistake. You know, like, I mean, it could be a mistake to take Drake May. It could be a mistake to take Jaden Daniels. We got to hope that the scouting department has done a good enough job to actually make sure that you pick the right guy. I personally feel that when it comes to Drake May, he's not the right guy because it's going to take development. Not only that, it's going to be longer down the line before he's successful. And on top of that, you don't have a true veteran guy in front of him to teach him how he's really supposed to play in the NFL, especially when you're talking about the only quarterback on our current roster right now is Sam Howell. So to me, not only along with that, you have to pick a guy that's going to energize the fan base. Again, I personally feel Drake May doesn't energize the fan base. There's no way you're going to be excited about him. But I will say this as well. There's not a lot of room between the guys lower on the quarterback scale and the guys higher on the quarterback scale when I'm talking about dual threat guys. I understand that there's, you know, some people are looking at Spencer Rattler and Michael Pratt and all that. And you know, Austin Reed. There are some guys that you can look at and you can tell that they're not quite ready for prime time. And I just railed off a couple guys for you. But when you think about some of these other quarterbacks, they have enough dual threat ability to actually make something happen. So a good example of this is, you know, you do have a Joe Milton III. Now, he's not the best passer, but maybe there's like mechanic issues or things like that that just needs to be adjusted that will help him. A prime example of this is we had this just last year where we were talking about Anthony Richardson, and I told everybody, you can tell he can process the field, you can tell that he understands what he's doing, he can read defense very well, he's just, his mechanics is off and he's inaccurate as a quarterback. Well, guess what? You're talking about Joe Milton in the same breath. Now, he doesn't read defenses as well as Anthony Richardson did, and he doesn't process as quickly as Anthony Richardson does. But at the same time, you're talking about a guy that if you just adjust some of his mechanics, you're talking about you may have a freak athlete on your hands that you didn't think you had initially. So, but again, this draft is actually may give you the flexibility to actually move down. But even with that, moving down, you run the risk of missing a guy accidentally. So a good example of this is I gave my example where I said, you know, you can move down, pick up a second round pick, pick up a third round pick, you know, pick up a first next year, pick up a second next year, coming to find out that you can actually pick up more than what I was even throwing out there. But again, there's some really high quality quarterbacks that's in this draft that you can take. Again, Jordan Travis. He's a high quality guy. I mean, if people would have gotten the opportunity to see him in the college playoffs this year, you're talking about people would have him higher up the board right now, because he's a really good athlete, and he can really throw the ball very well. So again, he's one of these guys that's being undervalued in this draft. Like I said, Joe Milton III. If you got a really solid quarterback coach who can get his mechanics together and get him understanding how to throw the ball a little bit better, you got a freak athlete at quarterback. Bo Nix, again, he's one of the ones that, you know, I think he's slightly being undervalued. But again, like I said, he's one that my only concern is that what does he look like outside of that Oregon offense? You know, so you can move back. Now, this draft does in fact have a lot of high quality draft picks. Remember last year, I told y'all last year's draft has a lot of football players. This year's draft has a lot of undervalued high quality guys. There are a lot of guys on defense. I mean, the linebacking core may be the best linebacking group we've seen come out of the draft in a very long time. These guys get to the ball and they get around the ball. My guy from out of Kentucky, he's really good. The middle linebacker at North Carolina State, he's really good. The backer edge guy out of Michigan State, Jacoby Windman, and I'll be bringing him up soon too. He's another one. Like this group of linebackers coming out this year, a lot of them are sideline to sideline guys, and they make plays. These guys make a lot of plays. And like I said, this is the first time in a long time that we've seen a linebacking core this good coming out of a draft. So this linebacking group is better than people are really paying attention to, and they might be more undervalued than what people think. But you talk about what's something Washington needs. We need linebackers, edge guys. It's not a lot of edge players in here that are high level guys, but there are a lot of mid guys that can get the job done, which might be more of for Washington, might be more of a free agent route, and I'll have a video for that coming up too. But again, it's not as bad. You can build up a lot. You can get a lot of players in this draft coming up by moving down. The risk of moving down is that I'm a staunch believer that when you draft a quarterback, you have to draft one of his top level receivers along with him. Now, here's the bigger issue with that as well. There's not a lot of the top receivers in the first round of the draft. A lot of them have their quarterbacks are either very low on the low end of the quarterback scale, or at the very top of the quarterback scale. So you're talking about guys like Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze, Brian Thomas Jr. Jesus, I'm skipping out on the guy. My God, I can't think of his name. But either way, their quarterbacks are either in the draft or they're on the lower spectrum of the draft. And you would have to draft his elite quarterback. You have to draft an elite receiver at the beginning of the draft and then try to get his quarterback either late in the first round or early in the second round, which is something we actually have the opportunity to do. So the offensive lines. The offensive linemen this year are a lot of stud guys. A lot of these guys have been in college for a very long time. This is probably the most experienced offensive line group that we're going to see coming out of college. Like, a lot of these guys have very long tenures on their teams. I mean, you're talking about just how they talked about the ages, the time that a lot of these guys have been in college at the quarterback position. Well, you got this same amount of time when it comes to the offensive line positioning as well. And a lot of these guys are very, very skilled. It's like a lot of the quirks that you would want to get out of an offensive lineman early on in his career, you're starting to see that guys are already coming in almost completely developed. Like, a lot, there are a lot of offensive linemen in this draft that are very, very good. Like, I like the boy out of Illinois. I think he's great. I told y'all about Gottlieb Adize. He's coming into the draft as a tackle. He was a tackle at Frostburg State University. He went to Maryland, played guard, and did a good job playing guard. So again, he's a guy that you can move around the offensive line, kind of like what happened with DeJuan Jones in Cleveland. DeJuan Jones went from right guard to right tackle to left tackle, all in one season. So again, moving back in this draft isn't as frightening as it would be in past draft histories, due to the fact that the quality of the quarterback and the quality of the players in this draft are actually a lot better than what we've seen in the previous years of drafting. Like I said, the offensive linemen, they all come in with a wealth of experience, of experience. A lot of them come with a wealth of experience. You're talking about the quarterbacks. They come in with a lot of knowledge and a lot of playing time. Like I said again, I understand that most people may not know who Jordan Travis is because the NFL Network isn't talking about him. The ESPN isn't talking about him. None of the mock draft people are talking about him. But this guy's a high-level guy. He's a high-level quarterback. I mean, when you watch his film, he's making throws. He's making plays. Again, you can see a game where it's Florida State versus LSU and watch what he does in that game. So again, this is not a joke around or play around or anything. You can move back in this draft. But you definitely have to hope that Adam Peters and his group are qualified enough or intelligent enough to actually delve deep into these guys and make the right decision. Because again, I gave y'all what I would do. I would come down within the top 10, take Keon Coleman, and then take Jordan Travis in the second round, because more than likely he's going to fall to the second round, and you can take him early in the second round. But you can pick up another second round pick. You can possibly pick up a third round pick. That puts you in a very good space when it comes to selecting other guys on the team, or possibly picking up a player, making a trade for a young player that you can put on your team and that can help your team as well. But again, it comes down to them really doing their homework in this upcoming draft, because there's a lot of really good qualified guys. Like I said, if you picking 3 times in the second round, you can take a quarterback early in the second round and then take 2 offensive linemen right back to back in that second round. So again, I mean, I think that you can move back in this draft. I really do. I think you can make plays in this draft. And like y'all know, I'm in the lab. I'm watching these guys. These guys are really good in this upcoming draft. It's so much experience with these guys. I mean, so much. Like, so much winning experience, so much game experience, so much improvement. Like, I mean, looking at the tackle from Illinois, from when he started playing to where he is now, it's a 360. This guy is he's really got it together. So again, like I said, y'all, I think that there's a chance to move down in this draft and still make a big play in the upcoming NFL draft. How do y'all feel? How do y'all feel about the possibility of moving down? I mean, I said it. I've said it in my last video, but this is one where I'm starting to look at as I'm in my lab and I'm going through these players. Moving down may not be that bad, even though I get it. Don't get me wrong. I understand the value of taking a Jaden Daniels at number 2 overall. But I also understand that Cliff Kingsbury's offense, there are a lot of guys in this draft that fits his offense. And also, I don't have an issue with picking 2 quarterbacks in this draft. I don't have an issue. Let's just say Washington takes Jaden Daniels number 2 overall. I actually don't have an issue if they sit up there and take Joe Milton III in the third round. Like, and that's me just being absolutely honest, because it would be great if you got a guy who, because we talked about it, we all are in fear that, you know, Jaden Daniels may go down because of his size and he's not that big and he runs upright, right? Well, would it be that bad to have a Joe Milton on deck? A guy who's much bigger, who can also do the RPO system, and he can throw the ball if Tavita Pritchard, who I'm going to talk about in another video, can somehow get his mechanics together so he can throw a better ball or be a little bit more accurate or be able to read the field a little bit better. I mean, this is that draft to do these type of things, to take these type of risks and to actually come out big on these risks. So, I mean, how do y'all feel? Do y'all want to stay at number 2? Do y'all really want to stay at number 2 and go from there? Or do y'all think about the fact that, hey, moving down may not be as bad as you want it to be? Like I said, I'm letting you guys know, there are a lot of really quality guys in this upcoming draft. A lot of them. A lot of them have experience. And when you talk about our systems that we are playing this year, even though they say they're going to change it, there's not going to be that big of an adjustment in their systems that we're not going to be able to still dictate what players should be in their system. So for that, like I said, Cliff Kingsbury's system, you talk about, you got Jaden Daniels who can be in this system. You got Joe Milton III who could be in this system. You got Jordan Travis who could be in this system. You even got Emory Jones who could be in this system. When it comes to offensive linemen, I can't understand why I'm skipping his name so much. But the boy out of Illinois fits their system. The Gottlieb Adize out of Maryland, he fits their system. So there are things that can happen. Even when you think about Baby Tua. I call him Baby Tua, but I think it's Tulila, something like that. But young Tua. He's also a guy that can fit Cliff Kingsbury's system. So, again, like I said, y'all tell me what y'all think. How y'all feeling about it? Are y'all gun-ho on sticking at number 2? Or are you guys okay with the possibility of moving down and still getting quality quarterbacks to be in Cliff Kingsbury's system? You tell me what y'all think. Other than that, this has been your man, John Fortune, and this has been the Frustrated Fans Sports Show.